Well, yeah, 2022 is coming to an end, and I just want to take this time to say thanks to my friends, my family, my supporters, my subscribers. You guys have all been absolutely amazing through my YouTube journey. I love every single one of y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for a great year. So, to recap the 2022 year, which was a pretty good year for me fishing-wise, I went ahead and put together a montage of some of my best catches. I got some dialogue over the top of them explaining what made them so memorable to me. I left the full video links down in the descriptions as well as the thumbnails down in the corner so you guys can check out the full videos if you want to. And I just want to again say thanks to everybody for the support. I'll catch y'all in 2023.
All right, y'all, this was a really good one. On this day, it was super, super cold, and I was absolutely struggling to catch bait that morning. All I was able to get in the cast net was one large shad and one tiny shad, and I went out there with only 2 tiny pieces of bait, chunked it out there, didn't have high expectations, and then, as you can see, with that one piece of bait, I ended up landing several catfish, but I landed this behemoth catfish. It was, I think, 36 or 37 pounds, but I mean, just look at this monster. And when you really have low expectations, I mean, this is just unbelievable. One piece of bait, y'all, and that's all it took to get this big guy on there. Plus, I think 2 or 3 other small ones that day, but absolutely amazing catch. Amazing catch, y'all.
Another one of these super...
All right, so on this next day, it was extremely hot this afternoon. I mean, we were reaching temperatures into, I think, 105, 110 degrees. And the bites were coming, but they were like really weird picks and drops and nothing really, really solid. And then eventually I got one on the line. It just didn't bite much. And as you can tell, it was a smaller gar. And, you know, I was still pretty happy that I caught a nice gar, but that's not the crazy part of this day. The crazy part is as I'm taking that one out, my other line starts rolling. And you can see, I'm going to pan over in a second. There it is. The little gar is still on the ground, and my other line's running, and it's running really well. So, boom, go for the set. And I could immediately tell that one was a little bit bigger, but it didn't put up a fight right away. And after a few minutes, of course, I get it up on the bank along with the second one. And that's what makes this so crazy, y'all. Like, all day long, nothing really happening. And then I get 2 at the exact same time. And the second one was a nice, decent 5.5 footer, probably weighing in somewhere between 60 and 70 pounds. And it's just not every single day that you go out gar fishing that you catch 2 at the exact same time. So that was pretty awesome. And these were also the only 2 I had that entire day. So getting out there in 110 degree heat and getting 2 at the same time, it's pretty amazing. What made this day so special was it was absolutely freezing cold this day. It was 34 degrees. It actually started to drizzle on me, so I had to put my rain gear on. And it was so cold that I actually left the rain gear on just to keep up with my body warmth up. And it was a real slow day. I only had a couple runs, and then this behemoth fish hit the line, and I could tell immediately that this was a big fish. And he fought me for a good, 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, you can tell right here, that is just a massive carp. Out there in the freezing cold, my hands were burning. They were so cold. And look at the size of this, y'all. Look at the size of that fish. That was almost 30 pounds. I think it came in right around 27. I might weigh it here in a second, but look at the massive size of this fish, y'all. And what you can't really see from these videos is the girth of these things. There we go. 27 pounds in the freezing cold. Absolutely nothing going on that day, and I land this behemoth, and he fought like an absolute tank. This was, I think, my personal best at the time I caught it. Look at that fish, y'all. That is just a massive fish. Totally paid off being in the cold. All right, this one was real crazy. So this day I set off, and I was just chunking beef steak into the bayou, hoping to catch a fish. And I did catch a small catfish, but that is not what made this day so crazy. This day, right here, you can see where I'm fighting it. I get a big fish, and I could immediately tell it wrapped around some kind of debris under the water. As I was fighting it, I could feel the tension of the fish fighting, and I could feel something snagged. So what we ended up doing is we fought the snag for several minutes. He never came free. So here we are. I'm with Alex. We cut the line, pull one end of the line around the snag, and then we're right here. Alex is tying the lines back together because the fish is still on the line. And you can see right here, the fish actually starts moving again, right here, right here. The line's coming out of my hand, coming out of my hand. He gets that knot tied just in time before that fish starts running. All right, so we get the knot, we get the line retied, fish still on the line, and I go, and immediately after I said again, I feel the fish fight, and he goes back under something else, y'all. Absolutely unbelievable. He snagged up again, and then, amazingly, he broke free and dives directly under the boat. And what happens next is this fish is just going left and right around the boat, under the boat. We're afraid he's going to get tangled in the motor. It's an absolute mess. It's chaos. He went from the left to the right. We had to keep going back and forth. And the whole time we're fighting this boat, we actually had to get off the bayou because Alex had to go pick up clients for his guiding business. But on top of all of that, on top of the nonsense of actually catching this fish, y'all, wait for this. Wait till you see this. This fish was crazy. Look at this. He had a totally deformed back. Totally deformed. Look at that. He's big old gouges in him. Piece of his tail clipped off. But look at his jaw. His jaw is completely deformed. He's missing all the teeth on his bottom jaw. The jaw's misaligned completely, and I mean, just after that crazy fight, and then you get this crazy looking fish, totally unexpected, total wild chaos. But yeah, unforgettable, so deformed looking.
Totally deformed fish.
All right, so this next video, I was on a guide trip with Austin, Texas Carp Pro, and I'm over here. I'm fighting one fish. Austin, you can just see in that video, he's fighting another fish. So we got two fish wrapped up on the lines right now, and I'm running over here. My third line is going off, y'all. Third line going off. So we're fighting three fish simultaneously right now. This was one of the craziest fishing days of my life. This is just one portion of it. So I just set the hook on that one. Austin sets down, and he has to run over there. You see him run over there? He's getting a fourth fish, y'all. He's getting a fourth fish. So right now we literally have 4 fish on the line, only 2 people to reel them in. And we could tell 2 of them were just big, big fish. And right there I point, a fourth one hits. A fourth one. So basically by the end of this, we get 2 of these giant carp on the line. And 3 catfish all at the same time. We had to reel these all in at the same time. And those carps were just behemoths. It's one of the wildest trips I've been on. All right, for this one, this was my first attempt at gar fishing using a tiny, tiny hook. And honestly, I didn't even plan to fish that day. I was scouting somewhere else out. I ran over to this spot. I was only there for maybe a couple hours. And within the first hour, I actually hooked up on this gar, and it was a good size. He put up a really good fight. But this whole time I'm fighting it, my back is injured, and it is just absolutely killing me right now fighting this fish. I mean, these fish are so damn powerful. And I really got lucky because right when I needed to land him, I got so lucky that an avid gar fisherman right here showed up and knew exactly how to lasso a fish, knew exactly what to do, totally helped me out. Because honestly, with my back being all screwed up, I don't think I would have been able to lift this fish over this ledge here. That was probably a 3.5 foot ledge. You can see how he was struggling a little bit. So I got really, really lucky that someone was able to help me. And then look at this, guys. This is a 2-aught. This may have been a 3-aught hook. Very, very tiny hook for a very big fish. So that was pretty damn cool. That was pretty cool.
All right, everyone, back out here on an evening trip.
All right, so I'm adding this one in here because I almost lost my reel. You can see right there, the reel starts moving. And I have a live liner on, a bait runner. And right there, boom, I accidentally hit it and the fish pulled the rod into the water. I jumped down the bank. I grabbed the rod. Thank God I didn't lose it. In the process, I scraped my leg up pretty bad. But at the end, check it out, y'all. I got a huge catfish out of that. That thing was definitely pushing 30 pounds. Nice fish. And the fact that I didn't lose my rod was a hell of a good thing. So I'll never forget that one.
Oh, I literally picked up the rod. Look at him just go, man.
All right, y'all. This was an absolute monster. This is my PB smallmouth buffalo.
This feels like a pretty good fish.
I actually fought this fish for 18 and a half minutes. Every time I would get this fish close to the bank, he would just take off again. I could not get this guy in. It took me 18 and a half minutes. I probably had him within 10 feet of the bank 3 times, and he would just take off again, stripping out 50 to 100 yards of line. It was so crazy. I ended up getting him in here, and then, like I said, this was my PB smallmouth buffalo. He came in weighing at just under 40 pounds, 39 and a half pounds. So a really huge buffalo, man. Still to this day, that is my personal best. Absolute behemoth. There we go. Look at that guy, man. Like I said, these videos don't really show the girth of these fish very well, but that thing is massively fat, y'all. I mean, watch. I'm going to turn him here in a second. You're going to see how wide he is.
Look at this fish, y'all.
Watch. Here we go. Look how wide he is, y'all. I mean, he's already going from my waist up to my chest, but amazing fight and amazing fish, and man, I can't believe they get even bigger than this. That's wild.
This guy is so beautiful.
Alright, so this video is in here because this was actually a redemption trip to me. I'd been to this spot before and lost one right at the bank. Lost a big 6-foot alligator gar right at the bank. So I went back, and after all day of being picked on by turtles and small gars and losing gars, I get this guy, man. Oh, it was so great. And he fought like crazy right here at the bank. But it was so good to actually get one up here on my second trip back. And check this out, guys. One other reason, again, right here as I'm trying to lasso him, I didn't realize my drag was still a little too tight, and he took off. Oh, I almost lost the rod again. He almost took off with the rod. Luckily, the drag was loose enough that he was able to pull it out, and I grabbed it in time. But yep, almost lost that same reel twice. I did eventually get him. Oh, I did get stuck in the mud. Almost lost my shoe in the mud. You can't see this bank is like a 5-foot mud hill I had to climb up. So I was absolutely exhausted after I got this guy in there. I didn't weigh or measure him, but he's definitely close to the 5.5, 6 foot range. Again, probably weighing in somewhere between 60 and 70 pounds. But yep, almost took my rod, almost took my shoe, but got it done on the second trip out there.
Amazing animal.
All right, so this was on my guide trip to Austin again. So this was a little earlier in the day, or a little later in the day from where I caught the 5 fish at the time. So I'm fighting this nice big buffalo, and at the time I could tell this is already breaking my personal best buffalo. It is just a monster of a fish, I can see from right there. And as we're pulling that one on, another one takes off. I was about to change my GoPro batteries to film that fish, and this line starts just screaming off, and I can already tell it's about the same size fish. It's putting up the same fight. And so there we go. We get the second buff in the net. Second buff's in the net, and the third line starts screaming, y'all. The alarms are going off. We got 2 big fish on the bank. I mean, it was just absolute chaos this day. And as soon as I started reeling down, I could tell this was a good sized fish as well. I mean, I was just in total shock that we got 3 right at the same time. Took me forever. They're the other 2 on the nets, and I'm reeling in the third. And then check this out, guys. I mean, first, these guys fight like absolute maniacs. This whole endeavor probably took 15-20 minutes to get all of them in. But look at the size of these 3 fish, y'all. I mean, to triple up on fish this size is absolutely amazing. Look at this. Those 3 fish are easily 100 pounds of fish. Easily. Look at the size of these guys, man. This is just unbelievable. I'll never forget this. just absolute chaos. Unbelievable fish, unbelievable day. This is by far one of the best fishing days I've ever had. Look at those, just beautiful, beautiful fish.
3 times in 20 minutes. Shad and a J hook.
All right, so this trip was pretty wild. We went catfishing, gar fishing, and what I got in my hand right there is my Sharky bait feeder reel. And the Sharky bait feeder, it's part of KastKing's lineup. It is not a heavy duty reel. It's actually made out of plastic. And I was actually hoping on this catch that I was gonna have a catfish, not a gar, but I could tell right there when he started stripping out the line on that hook set that this was a gar and not a small one either. And this, I'll never forget this because the whole time I could feel the plastic reel flexing. I thought the whole reel was just gonna break and shatter in my hand, and I knew I had a big fish on the line. Now, ultimately, the reel held up. I mean, it really did. It held up like a trooper. This was a true test of force on this reel, and I gotta say, it did hold up. But I was nervous the whole damn time fighting this thing. I wish you could see the flex, but you could definitely see the plastic flexing, or I could definitely feel the plastic flexing in my hand as I was fighting this guy. And he put up a hell of a fight. I mean, look at this guy. That was a nice size gar. And I'm really surprised that, you know, this $55 KastKing reel, I mean, held up like a champ. And you can see that gar had a lot of energy. That was at least the second time that it shot out of the sky, shot out of the water. And like, look at this guy, 70 pounds, almost on the dot. That is a big fish to catch on a cheap reel, so I'm never going to forget that. Amazing, amazing fish, amazing fight, and amazing that reel held up and didn't break on me. So this one was pretty wild. I'm actually on the phone with a buddy right now, and I take this cut bait and I chunk it out there, and it hits the water. And probably within a couple seconds, you can see I start pulling a little line out. I can feel it. I can feel something hit it. I thought it got snagged on something, and then boom, the rod took off, y'all. I literally caught a catfish on a surface strike with cut bait. I will never forget that. I threw the bait out. Within a few seconds of it hitting the water, this catfish hit it. And on top of that, I did it with a super tiny hook because I was gar fishing. I was still trying out the tiny hooks. I mean, I've never had a topwater strike with cut bait and landed a catfish. I don't know if I'll ever do that again. So that was pretty damn amazing. That was like one heck of a crazy experience. Nice cat too. So this one was pretty damn fun. I went out with my buddy Eli, and right when I walked up to the fishing spot, Eli already had a 22-pounder on the bank, and we were throwing out different baits, but this was the first cold snap of the day, first cold snap of the year, and look at this behemoth fish, y'all. He put up one hell of a good fight. So I'm never going to forget this for a couple reasons. One, it was a giant fish. Two, my buddy Eli was with me. I think Alex may have been there as well. But this big old fish, these two big fish that we caught, hit on an absolute freezing cold day, the first freezing cold day of the year. I did that the year before as well, and so did Eli, but we didn't do it together. So this was pretty wild to go out on the coldest day of the year and land these big old catfish. I don't know why the big ones get activated on the first cold snap, but look at this monster, y'all. Look at that giant mouth. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Amazing day. Can't believe I caught one that big in the freezing cold. But yeah, got it done that day, y'all. Got it done.